Today, I talk to TED Talk speaker, co-founder of Leadership University, author, and transformational coach, Steven Dossou. He shares his story of how he went from a 2-bedroom house in Togo, West Africa, to the global stage. You don't want to miss this. Stay tuned. Welcome to Reinventing Perspectives. Today we have an amazing guest. We have Steven Dossou. Steven, please tell us, who is Steven and what are you about?
Steven Dossou. I'm originally from Togo, T-O-G-O, not Tokyo, T-O-G-O, okay? From West Africa. It's a small, tiny country. North to the south is about 600 kilometers, and east to the west is about 180 kilometers. It's right next to Ghana. You know, it's funny how every time I have to talk about my country, I have to talk about Ghana, just talk about my country, you know? Well, that was where I was born until the age of 18. I was born in a little two-bedroom with 9 siblings. So basically, I know what it is to share one bedroom, sleeping on the floor, one floor with 5 siblings. I know how's that. I know how to eat with your hand, okay, in a big bowl where as the younger one, you have to eat very fast because you're competing with your elder brothers, okay? So that was where I was born, you know, and going to school, walking 5-7 miles every single day. The modest word for describing the conditions in which I grew up, Priscilla, can be called humble beginnings. But the truth is, I grew up poor. And having grown up in that, I do not know how and why, but there was just desire deep within me. Just this deep hunger, you know, this voice that will whisper in my mind or in my ears or in my soul, if you may say, that I could be more than what my circumstances tagged me to be. So at the age of 18, after finishing my first degree quickly, I decided to leave my country. Tried Europe, didn't work. Tried America, didn't work. Decided to leave my country to go into a nearest African country that could offer me the same opportunities. And that happened to be South Africa. When I eventually journeyed from Togo to South Africa, it took me about 18 months just with the backpack, faith as a currency, and nothing more but courage and holding on to a dream to be better. And now when I arrived in South Africa, Priscilla, I had days where I had no food to eat. I had days where I slept on the street, no shelter. At some point, I was sleeping on the shack of $20 was the rent, but I couldn't even afford it. But grace to God, I got given an opportunity by a gentleman that would see me on the street hawking stand every single day, as excited as could be, because even those times were tough, Priscilla, I had never, ever, ever lost my faith. I just held on to the faith that it was going to be good. I wake up every day and pray and go to the street hawking stand and do, "Hi, ma'am, how are you? Come closer. Let me sell you this apple. Hi, sir, well, if you can give me a minute of your time, I want to tell you why this biscuit is going to make your day." And I would do that over and over again. So I got given an opportunity to become a salesperson. What kind of salesperson? I had to sell vacuum cleaners. Now, you got to understand, by then I was about 19, 20, but I had not ever seen a vacuum cleaner in my life, okay? I had to sell this stuff. And I got given a sales script. I went home, studied that sales script, came back the following day, and I worked for 3 years, nonstop, 7 days a week, doing, "Hi, ma'am, let me tell you why this vacuum cleaner is going to clean your home like nobody's business." And I did that nonstop. And in my 3rd year, I got given an opportunity by a competing company to become an area manager, handling over 60 people and accounting for more than $2 million of sales per year. I kept the consistency and I kept the faith. A few months down the line, I became a regional manager. A few months after that, I became a national sales manager. Ran there for a while and decided to go for my own company. I ran my company for about a year, and you know what? Everything came down crashing. Now, at that point, I had lost everything I had worked for the past 5 years. So what was the choice? Going back or continuing on the journey, on the mission that God has tasked me to be? And I looked back, I was like, you know what? I think what I'm truly gifted at, the gift that God has implanted in me, was my ability to communicate with people, was my ability to motivate people. It was my ability to bring the best out of people. And that was 4.5 years ago. Then I decided to transit into this career as a speaker, as a coach. And I started that in Southeast Asia because I left South Africa and relocated to Southeast Asia. Today, I'm traveling the world and speaking to different kind of people. Today, I'm talking to you today all the way from Perth, Australia. Basically, I'm a speaker, I'm a coach, I've co-founded Leadership University, and Salesforce Catalyst is what represents what I do as a speaker and a coach. And that's what I stand for, because I believe that when you have faith,
When you believe enough, everything is possible. That's a great and inspiring story. People may not be able to relate to every aspect of it, but definitely people can relate to a lot of it. Steven, when you were talking about how you would wake up to sell apples and it was hard, but you just kept believing that there was going to be something. Our audience is early entrepreneurs, as you know. How do you keep going when the vision of the great things you thought were going to happen, every day you're waking up and you're not seeing it? Yeah. And how do you be cheerful enough to, give the intro with that energy every single time when things are not working the way you thought? Can I be vulnerable? Can I be real here? I love being real. Okay, Priscilla, do you give me the permission to be real here? Please, absolutely. Okay. When I started the speaking and coaching business, let me get this in perspective to the people listening and watching. There's nobody in my family that knows what speaking and coaching is. The reason why I'm pointing that out is because for almost 25 years of my life, I had never been exposed to what speaking and coaching is. So when I decided to tap into this, transit into this and build a business out of this, there was no point of reference for me. The only thing I had was myself, my faith, and my dream and my God. That was all. 9 months into business, Priscilla, I had not made a single sale. I had to do all kind of jobs you can think of just to keep me going. Now, if you ask me what kept me going, that time when I was going from one country to the other, when I was sleeping on the floor, when I was called names by white South Africans, calling me monkey, black monkey, you'll never be nothing. What kept me going until this very time, Priscilla? Number one, I believe that I am created at the image of God. Therefore, everything God can do, I can do. Number two, my temporary defeat does not determine my fate in my future. And number three, what I am today and what I am going to be tomorrow, the only thing that is between those two people is me. You get what I'm saying? I'm giving here 3 core principles that is spiritual, that is of a soul level, and that's of a physical level. The soul is composed of the mind, the will, and the emotions. Okay, I'm saying that spiritually, you first got to acknowledge that you are created in the image of God. Therefore, there's nothing impossible. And it's a concept that you've got to embody. You've got to hold onto that tight in your mind. And then you've got to understand that when you put in place the right strategies and you learn the right lessons, you align yourself with the right people, everything is possible. Even if today it might look like it's not going to happen. All you've got to do is to raise your head up, is to keep your head up. Just keep fighting, man. There's a quote that says that it's those who persevere through difficulties and pain that found themselves with success. I heard that and I heard it again. So thank you for that. Steven, I love what you said. I know the audience is listening and they're like, okay, Steven, I understand that I've got to have the right mindset and I've got to align myself. How should I go about it? What action can I take? Because I'm fired up by what you said, but I don't know what to do. Yeah. Dr. Miles Monroe, he says that we do not decide of our future. We decide of our habits, and our habits decide of our future. Number one, what kind of habits are you creating in your life right now? At this very moment in time, what kind of habits are you creating? Because the habits will determine who you will become. So it depends on where you are going. Make sure that you are very much knowledgeable in what you do. Number two, raise your standard. If you think that you are doing great right now, then do greater. Okay? If you think that you're performing good right now, then perform better. If you think you're performing better right now, then perform at your best. Discipline and focus. Nothing beats that. Look, let's be real to one another. All right, Priscilla. The truth is, in nowadays world, there are more distractions than what we ought to do. And what holds us back in most of the time is our inability to focus and throw ourselves at something and do it the way we're supposed to. So, number one, I'm saying, start cultivating habits. Personally, when I wake up every day after doing my 150 push-ups and 70 sit-ups, I listen to something positive to adjust my mindset. And I read at least 10 to 15 pages of something. Why do I do that? Because if I'm able to stick to that every single day, 7 days a week, I'm already building my discipline. And then secondly, when you work,
Okay, you can't work and then look at your phone for 5 minutes and then turn it. No, like switch off the phone, put it off, okay, and focus on your work and think about how can I do this better. My shirt says what? Be different, okay? How can I do this in a way that I am the only one in the world that stands for this, all right? So you gotta embrace your uniqueness and develop how you think, how you touch things, and everything you do has got to stand out. And I believe that if you can cultivate all these things that I'm talking about, then the sky's the limit. You're on your own limit. You can definitely make it.
I believe that. Thank you for that, Steven. In my research about your work, I know that you're a TEDx speaker. While I was going through your YouTube channel, which has got great content, by the way, you have something that you said that I said, I need to ask Steven more about this. You said, you don't attract clients, you create clients.
I want to throw this out there, so that you can linger around while I answer the question. Coca-Cola, for instance, is one of the best billion-dollar, I don't know, probably $1 trillion right now, brand in the entire world. But they've never ever stopped advertising. Okay, they consistently position themselves so that whenever you're gonna open that fridge and grab a drink, they're gonna be the first brand that you think of. Okay, now do they really have to? Not really, but they ensure because they know that that is one primary law of being and staying in business. So let me leave that with you first and then get back to the quote that you do not attract clients, you create clients. Usually, new entrepreneurs fall into this trap where they think or believe that all they have to do is to have a good website, to have maybe a good touchstone and maybe a very good logo and just to put themselves out there online. And then, the clients are going to come flooding. All right. That is a lie. It's a myth and it's a lie. If you believe that, let go of it today. All right. Now, everything you do in your business, literally everything, okay, as little as the color of how your logo should be like, okay, to the one character on that keyboard you're about to type right now to create, content or message or something about your business. Literally, everything you do to even that domain name you buy, when you do that, you want to think about how is my client going to think about that? How is my client going to feel about that? How is my ideal client going to receive that? Okay. So what I'm saying is that when you are building a business, you don't want to be an artist that is attached to their art. No. You are building a business that is going to respond to a problem that your client has. Okay. So it might be your business, but it's a business you are building for the client. In other words, what I'm saying is that you might be the founder, but the clients are the co-founder. They even have more rights in your business than you. If you do all of those things that I'm talking about right now, when you put all of these things together, Priscilla, what you're doing there is not falling in the myth of saying that, I want to build this business, I want to do this. No, what you're doing is you are creating clients because every single step of the way in your business, and I'm not even talking about actual concrete action of you going out there and hunt client and hustle client, okay, and going on LinkedIn, trying to connect with every single HR manager if you're a speaker or coach, or trying to speak to people individually and say, hey, I've got this awesome coaching offer right now that I want to give to you for free. If you can jump on a call with me just for 15 minutes, I want to tell you why 2022 is going to be your best year ever, all right? I've got 10 people already that have signed up, and I want you to be the 11th person. I'm not even talking about that as yet, okay? I'm still talking about the foundations of you building your business. So every single thing in your business has got to be created keeping in mind, literally obsessed. You gotta be obsessed by your ideal client. The quote, we do not attract clients, we create clients, is tapping into a deep understanding that every action you take in your business is not for you, but is for the client.
Once you make that reframe, it changes the way you operate. Because
Indeed.
If you build everything according to your ideas, then you try to pull people to see and like what you're doing. Whereas if you build every step thinking about the person you're going to serve, that's client creation.
Yeah, that's client creation.
So, wow. Thank you for sharing that, Steven. Because when I read that, I didn't understand it, but I said there's something here and I need to ask Steven what it is.
That's good.
Thank you for that. Now, Steven, you had to ask yourself, what is the gift? What is the priceless gift?
Yeah.
I don't know if you could, if you might feel free to do so, to share what that process was like for you. So hopefully someone who's listening will begin to say, oh, okay, maybe what happened to Steven, I can make that shift.
Late Dr. Miles Monroe, rest in peace. This is someone that has influenced me a lot in my life. I've read a lot of his books. He's written 66 books, translated in 185 languages, and he lived and died in the Bahamas. Okay. He was born as the 11th child. His father's house was in probably 2 rocks. Okay, literally, a tiny house. That was where he was born. And this guy went on in the world and influenced millions of people, like millions. Okay. Now, he says that we are all born to be leaders, but not necessarily leaders of people. Okay. But first of all, leaders of our own area of gifting. This is the same guy that defined leadership as the capacity to influence others through inspiration, motivated by passion, generated by a vision, produced by a conviction, and ignited by a purpose. Should I define that again?
Give it to us again, Steven.
Let me put it this way. That he says that leadership is inherent to all of us. That we are all born to be leaders, not necessarily of people, but first of all, of our own area of gifting. He also says that leadership is the capacity to influence others through inspiration, motivated by passion, generated by a vision, produced by a conviction, and ignited by a purpose. When we talk about purpose, you hear all the time people talk about your why this, your why that. I'm saying that your why is directly related to your gift. Let me talk about that a little bit. When you take a tree, for instance, I've never ever seen a tree eat its own fruit or sit under its own shade. The fruit of a tree always is eaten by somebody else. So what that means is that the gift of each and every creation in nature is there to serve the other creation. It's like a circle that has been beautifully designed by the creator, that each and everyone's gift serve to the prosperity or to the growth of the next person. When you tap into that area of your gifting, okay, when you start living in your gift, when you start doing what you are called to do, there's not a day in your life that you think that you are working, okay? Priscilla, I can sit here right now and talk to you and inspire 7 billion people for the next 59 years, and I will still have more energy to go on, all right? Do you get what I'm saying? Why? Because I am doing what is in my area of gifting. So the question is, how do you find this area of gifting? How do you find your gift? How do you identify this is what I'm gifted at? This is what I don't have to go to school for. This is the area in which it comes to me by instinct. Okay? Now, when I step on stage and speak, sometimes people ask me, hey man, did you take any course? Which school did you go to? And when I tell them, look, this is self-taught, okay? I've never been to a school or anything to learn how to speak, to learn how to go from, crafting a speech from one introduction to the next, transiting and putting quotes and putting a bow on it. Nobody has taught me that, to teach that to myself. But thanks to my gift, I was able to do that and teach others how to do so, how to speak, how to be a great orator. What you want to do is this. You want to go back into those young days and identify what are those things that when you did, you felt complete. What is the one thing that you can do right now and do tomorrow and do 5 years later without the loss of enthusiasm? And what is that thing that comes to you effortlessly? If you find that, the next question you want to ask yourself is, when I'm doing this, does it actually serve somebody? Okay. If what you are great at, what comes to you instinctively can serve somebody, serve others in creation, that is your area of gifting.
Steven, I'm going to jump into our next question, which is your area of expertise, transformational leadership. I know it's a big topic area, but for an early entrepreneur with their small team, how do they become a transformational leader?
I'm going to put it simple. I love taking complex things and making it very simple. Even in my books, I break down everything very simple. If you take what I'm about to say and hold on to it, you're already a transformational leader. Okay. Here's what I'm saying. When you live a life that inspire others to be more, live more, dream more, aspire for more, then you're a transformational leader. All right, okay. So if you want me to expand on that a little bit, Priscilla. So when you talk about transformational leadership, there are two things in it. Okay, there is the concept of leadership and then the concept of transformation. Transformation is defined as the change of one's outer form from one which it was to another, which is the result of an inner change. And I gave the definition of leadership earlier on. So if you bring these two things together, I'm saying that the transformational leader is the one that is able to first of all, discover his own sense of leadership by tapping into your area of gifting. What's your uniqueness? Okay, what is the mindset you live like? What kind of life do you live? Number two, process of transformation, which is in Romans 12:2. Let me quote that on this show. You see that? Do not conform to the things of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And the things of this world, when they want to hold us back, all they do is to implant in us the three toughest demons of mankind: fear, self-doubt, and low self-esteem. As a transformational leader, the second step in your journey after you've met yourself, after you've discovered your sense of leadership, the second and critical step is for you to free yourself of the three toughest demons of mankind: fear, self-doubt, and low self-esteem. And how you do that is by renewing your mind. Okay? So these are the three pillars of the transformation side. And then as the leader, you want to live a life. You want to take actions. You want to speak to people. You want to communicate with them. You want to stand by their side so that you can inspire them to live more, be more, dream more, stand for more.
A new entrepreneur who's starting to be a business leader, when you understand simply, like you said, what is it that you're trying to do?
When your actions, the way you live your life, inspire others to be more, live more, dream more, then you are a leader. Okay? And don't forget this, Priscilla, let your listeners never forget this, that the role of leaders is to build people, and people build businesses. So doesn't matter how small your team is, don't forget that it's okay for you to step into your role as a manager, as a co-worker. It's okay. But don't forget that as a leader, your role is to build people, is to invest in your people, to make them greater. Because when you do, they take care of your business. That's how it is.
What is the Salesforce catalyst? Hey, small business family, quick pause here. If you've been listening and thinking, I need help getting clear on my message and how to actually market this amazing thing I've created, I've made something just for you. It's called the Clarity Intensive, and it's 2 focused sessions, one-on-one, where we untangle your ideas, map out your next best move, and build a foundation for real business momentum. If you're done thinking what's the right thing to do, and you're ready for a customized strategy that fits you, this is for you. You'll find the link in the show notes, or you can visit the website www.reinventingperspectives.com/shop, and you'll see our Clarity Intensive 1-to-1 marketing coaching. Let's get back to the show.
Yeah, Salesforce is the company that I was pregnant of and I gave birth to about 4.5 years ago when I started this speaking and coaching journey. So basically, Salesforce is my company that deals with speaking and coaching needs of businesses, of people, whole concept of transformational leadership, of coaching, of motivation. This whole concept is embedded in. So Salesforce, I just want to say that again. It's not sale as in S-A-L-E. No, it's sale, S-A-I-L, force, catalyst. Okay, so basically, when you get to work with me, we are going to sail, but sail with such a catalyst force that you are bound to grow, you are bound to transform, that you are bound to succeed. That is what Salesforce is about.
It's an exciting work. Now, Steven, I'm going to ask you a little bit about your TEDx talk, the key takeaways of success and the 3 battles. People can find it on your YouTube channel as well.
Definitely, yeah. So the best definitions of success that I've come across, Priscilla, are the ones of Earl Nightingale and James Williams. Earl Nightingale defines success as the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. James Williams defines success as the relentless and consistent pursuit of an inner ideal and the outer achievement related to that ideal. Let me repeat that one more time. Earl Nightingale says that success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. He didn't say that it's cars. He didn't say it's beautiful women. He didn't say it's big houses. Okay, he didn't say it's millions of dollars. He says the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. And James Williams says that it's a relentless and consistent pursuit of an inner ideal and the outer achievement related to that ideal. What I'm saying is that we don't have to measure success in terms of cars or this or that. No. Are you today moving and progressing in that ideal that is worthy to you? Consider yourself successful. Because there are so many people out there that have gone to university, spent thousands of dollars, are in debt, and started something that is not their worthy ideal. There are thousands of people out there that are in jobs that they look at the window every single day, envying the person that is on the street doing, "Hi, ma'am, how are you doing today?" There are people today that have the money in the world, but will give up everything just to step into that area that God has called them to be. So success is about finding your worthy ideal. And in the process of finding that worthy ideal that is to you, the battles you're going to fight are those three battles against fear, self-doubt, and low self-esteem. Fear, the false evidence appearing real. I know you've heard that before, but how I define fear is that fear is a self-replayed memory which we replay for ourselves. Okay, I know there's a bit of repetition there, but just stick with me. Okay, fear is a self-replayed memory that we replay for ourselves every time we see a similar circumstance that has caused us emotional or physical pain. All you've got to do is to reverse. Instead of revisiting that situation that caused you emotional pain, or physical pain, all you have to do is to shift it. All right. Use the switch method in NLP and think about it instead of it causing you pain, and think about it causing you pleasure. And you can reverse fear just like that. Self-doubt, paralyzing force which stops us from taking action. When you are taken over by self-doubt, it will take you 15 days to make a small little decision. But notice what Mark Fisher says, that we do not become millionaire the day we have the 7 or 6 figures in our bank account. No. We become millionaire the moment, the time, that very instant moment we decide to embark on that journey to go for those millions, to live a meaningful life. Getting rid of self-doubt is one key principle to living your worthy ideal. Low self-esteem, the feeling of being unlovable, awkward and incompetent, the lack of confidence. We know that when you do not have confidence in yourself and in what you do, you'll never ever succeed. If you are right now starting this business, or you are in this business and you believe that this is your worthy ideal, then you owe it to yourself to take on those 3 battles and win them at whatever cost. You get what I'm saying? If I, a boy from Togo, Togo, a country in which today, as we speak, people still live there on less than $1 a day. If I could go from there and inspiring hundreds of thousands of people around the world, if I could do that, then I don't see any reason why you listening to me right now, you can't do it. I don't see any reason why you cannot fight those battles every single day and come out a winner, a game changer, an overcomer. That is the core of my talk.
Oh, everybody's got to listen in on this talk because it's absolutely phenomenal. What is the number one book or resource that you would recommend for an early entrepreneur?
I've read a lot of books, Priscilla, but the book I can tell you right now, you first want to get the mindset right. Okay, this is very, very important. What kills you in entrepreneurship is not the lack of skills. It's the doubt, it's the fears, it's those 3 demons. Okay, that's what kills you. That's what makes you give up on yourself. So that's why I hammer that it's very important that you go for that. And then we can talk about skills and get very knowledgeable in your niche. Therefore, I recommend to you the book of Og Mandino, the greatest salesman in the world, and make use of the 10 scrolls, okay? Because the first scroll says that today I begin a new life. Today I shed my old skin, which has too long suffered the bruises of failure and the wounds of mediocrity. Today I am born anew, and my birthplace is a vineyard where there's fruit for all. And at the end, he says that today I will walk tall among men, they will know me not. For today, I am a new man with a new life. And when you do get that book, make sure you get mine as well. Be Transformed, A 10-Week Journey to Your True Self. It's on Amazon. Thank you very much.
What has faith meant to you on your journey?
Faith is everything. A lot of people define faith as the ability to believe in things that don't exist as yet. I define faith as the compost and the water that makes the seed of your dream, the seed of the gift that God has implanted into you, grow. What was my attitude when people tell me that I'm from Togo, I'm from Africa, that nobody's gonna hear what I've got to say as a speaker? Well, my faith then has to confess that I don't care what you think of me, I don't care what you say, but I will be the person that makes the difference. What was my attitude when people looked at me back in South Africa and pointed at me and abused me and hit me and say, look, you are a black monkey, you are doomed to be nothing, that this is your end. You are not born to make it. You have a face that only a mother can lack. What was my attitude? My faith had to come up and speak and let them know that the way you look at me does not determine who I can be. My faith had to come and speak, just like how David spoke at Goliath when he stood in front of Goliath, that today I will take your life today, so that people can know the God I serve. My faith had to speak, and still speaks for me, that exactly in 20 years from now, I would have inspired 750 million people. That's what my faith means to me. You see that?
We're honored to be able to speak to you and to hear from you. So thank you so much, Steven.
Thank you so much, Priscilla. Thank you for the opportunity. You are awesome.
Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for listening in. I hope you gained a lot of value from this conversation and are as inspired as I am right now. So to connect with Steven, please look for him on LinkedIn, on Instagram at Steven Dossou. That's Steven and Dossou. Steven Dossou. And as usual, please visit our website, www.reinventingperspectives.com. We have plenty of freebies on the website, things that will help you to grow in your business and to become the business leader that you have the potential to be. So thank you again, and see you again next week.